Hi, this is Austin Parsons, pitmaster with Smoky Mountain Q in Nashville, Tennessee, and you are listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Good evening and welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things important to the world of barbecue and grilling, originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening's live fire fun and frivolity show. If you want to jump in on the show this evening through phone calls and emails, here's how you do that.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to greg@bbqcentralshow.com or on the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you get the newsletter coming up in about 12 minutes from now. It is the first Tuesday of a month, 2021, rapidly coming to a close, and where we would usually find Malcom Reed dropping in from How to Barbecue Right. We'll do you one better. How about his pal, Mark Williams from Swine Life, joining us? Yes. That will happen. Malcolm had a makeup football game. He didn't have a football game, but his son did. And obviously that comes first. Even in the teeth of the Barbecue Central show, we relax on that. And Mark just happened to be available, so I'm thankful that he is pliable and amoeba-like in that sense for guests. So we'll be talking to Mark about... So I should say up front, the theme for this evening, while we'll cover a variety... dare I say, a cornucopia of different topics. There will be certainly a Thanksgiving theme, not only through the show, but through the first 3 weeks of the show. Always in the third week, it's the rush. What happens if you haven't thawed the turkey? What should you do besides turkey? That kind of stuff we'll get into in a couple weeks. But the first 2 weeks of the show will be Thanksgiving-based to a certain degree, so we'll get a lot of the normal stuff taken care of. We'll get a little outside of the box. And we'll start all of that off with Mark Williams in about 12 minutes from now, and then we will move to 35 past the hour, where we will find perhaps the one and only semi-recurring doctor on the show at this point. You find him as the barbecue editor of Southern Living magazine. He's also writing the Q Sheet. Dr. Robert Moss will be joining us. He has a huge event coming up in a couple weeks, maybe 10 days. It might be sold out. There might be some ancillary tickets that you could still get your hands on if you want to be a part of it. But let's just say some of the biggest pitmasters, not only from the Carolinas, but also the country, will be converging into South Carolina for what is being billed as one of the most prolific barbecue events that would probably rival something that Texas Monthly would put on each and every year down there when they feature all those top pitmasters at the Texas Monthly Barbecue Festival or whatever the hell they call it. It might be something akin to that, so we'll get all the inside information from Robert when he's on. Plus, he has extreme thoughts on the top 50 from Texas that was released now 2 weeks ago, this past Monday. Also, I believe there's some border skirmishing going on with generational thoughts on pitmasters and how it relates to Texas and Carolinas and what somebody might be saying in Texas, and how some folks are taking it into the Carolinas. Nothing better than a great old barbecue skirmish. That's what we love here on the show. And I just like to moderate the skirmish. I don't want a part of any skirmish. I'm not physically capable of protecting myself at all. But I'm more than happy to, A, throw gasoline on any fire. It doesn't matter which side. And then moderate the firemen that show up to put it out. That's your first hour. Second hour, because it is the first Tuesday of the month, One of the most prolific YouTubers out there when it is relating to cooking. Sam, the cooking guy, joins us. Of course, we will be talking some turkey with Sam, but before we get to any of that, if you are watching his latest videos, you would see Sam using the Pit Barrel Cooker. That's a longtime sponsor of this show. He used it to make Al Pastor, so we'll talk about all that, how he likes the cooker, what else he might use it for, aside from the Al Pastor, which looked incredible. And then we will talk about some other food topics as well. So Sam, the cooking guy, in his normal segment. But he's not carrying the balance of the second hour. Nay, we are going to the current Jack Daniels World Championship coming out of the bullpen tonight. Brad Leiniger from Getting Basted had him on a couple weeks ago, or had him lined up, but I had made a scheduling error, I believe. So we pushed him back until this evening. And we will, get the recap of the Jack Daniels and the win. His first win at the Jack, perhaps the first major title win. I believe he was reserve grand. It was either at the Invitational or at the Open not too long ago. So taking down what many consider to be the championship of championships when it comes to barbecue, the Jack Daniels. So we'll talk to him all about that. We'll talk to him about the Barbecue League. We'll talk to him about some competition steak stuff as well as time permits. And Brad will be making an appearance, the debut appearance on Clubhouse as well. So we'll see how that goes. What could possibly go wrong? Who knows? Hey, don't forget you can follow me socially, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat at BBQ Central Show. For a live video feed of the show, you can go to Facebook and Twitch /BBQ Central Show. Also over on YouTube, which is /RD Rempe with a very active chat. So you can get over there and interact if you want. Also, we are live on Clubhouse, as I had mentioned. So pick your spots if you want to. I'll have it up during the guest segments, and maybe we can mix in a question or two, but I always ask to be patient because I'm doing many things at once, and I don't always see everything. So bear with me, if you will, in the Clubhouse, and appreciate you guys listening. Programming note, and I didn't get to this last week, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Leonard, and I'm sorry, Jeff, but be sure to check out my latest appearance on the Baseball and Barbecue podcast with Len Aberman, close personal friend of mine. I consider him to be a much older brother. And Jeff Cohen, who I consider to be my much older and potentially senile uncle. And I'm just kidding, of course, when I say that. The old coot. Their podcast is unique because it is covering baseball and it's covering barbecue. Not necessarily in that order, but they have a great level of guest. Shockingly great level of baseball guest. Great barbecue level guest as well. I appear on actually not the most recent, but the two previous episodes to the most recent one that was just put out this week. You get a part 1 and a part 2 of me. I'm backed up by the first designated hitter in Major League Baseball history, who I think played for the Yankees. And that guy's a hoot and a potential kook, but definitely a hoot. And they drag some stuff out of me that maybe you've never heard or I haven't covered in depth, let's say. So very happy to have you go over to Baseball and BBQ. Search for it on any and all podcast platforms and check me out. And we thank Len and Jeff for having me on as a guest now for my second time. I'm still like 20 away from Doug. He's like the third co-host in that show, but nevertheless. Some listener feedback here before we get to the first break and then run up Mark Williams from Swine Life. Jason in Connecticut writes in, Greg, listened to the top of the second hour ejaculation story a few days ago. Wow. What I took away from that was I need to finish at least 21 times per month in order to cut my chances of prostate cancer by a third. That's going to be hard to do, seeming as I'm not a male porn star, by the way. Do you know how many times I've jammed the phrase, and I quote, ejaculatory frequency into conversations over the past 4 days? Thank you once again for proving why you have the best show available on podcast. Regards, Jason. Thank you, Jason. And yes, anybody and everybody should be jamming the phrase ejaculatory frequency into any and all conversations that you're having because it's fun to say. And it was actually in print, and I read it out loud last week, top of the second hour, so get that if you missed it. Dennis in Colorado, when talking about what Bobby Flay might do next from leaving the Food Network. My guess, Bobby Flay moving to Netflix. They have deep pockets. I think he'll do an international traveling show around the world. I think it will be a hybrid show that Anthony Bourdain used to do. So Dennis weighing in on that. We thank him for weighing in. And then lastly, Terry in New York. Greg, listening to the Embedded Correspondent segment, and the question, if a watch commercial belongs on your show, your unabashed take the money attitude is a bit repulsive. Maybe you shouldn't be looking to take every dollar that comes your way and worry more about the content of the show, and the money will take care of itself. Love the show. Regards, Terry. Terry, how about this? You focus on being a listener. I'll focus on making all of the money and doing everything else related to the show. Can we agree on that, Terry? How about that? And don't send in another email like that again, or I will exercise my overarching power on the internet and ban your ass, not only from the show, but from the internet. But thank you, Terry. Love you as well. You know, I almost, but I remembered. Rule number 1 of the show, don't get hooked. Or no names, please. Rule number 2 of the show, don't get hooked. I didn't get hooked. Mark Williams is ready to go. I'll talk to you quickly about Green Mountain Grills. Some of the best pellet cookers out there today. You have a couple different lines to choose from. You have a choice line. You have a prime line if you're somebody looking to save a couple bucks. Choice line is just right for you. You get one size, the Daniel Boone. It's pretty accommodating for most family sizes, unless you have a Brady Bunch style size family or bigger. Now, if you want Wi-Fi connectivity and app connectivity / usage, you want a more of a robust build on the chassis cooker itself, 2 internal meat probes, that kind of thing. Prime line is what you want to look. 2 different sizes, peak and ledge. On top of that, if you're headlong into the NFL season, if you're a really big college person or both, and you love to tailgate, might I suggest the Trek cooker. You can put it in any car, truck, van, or SUV, plug it into a 12-volt receptacle in your car, hook it up to the battery with little battery pinchers. Plenty of different ways to power this thing. And now you have a wood-fired pellet cooker that you can take with you anywhere you want to go. Do you like camping? Camping sucks, but if you like camping, take it with you. Pellet goodness right there. And you don't sacrifice a tremendous amount of capacity for the portability factor. Go to greenmountaingrills.com. That's greenmountaingrills.com. And you can check out all the offerings, find a dealer near you because they're sold through dealers only. Get educated at that nearest dealer and take one home and be a success right out of the back. greenmountaingrills.com. That's greenmountaingrills.com. And we'll be right back with Mark Williams. Stick around.
You're listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Welcome back. This portion being brought to you by the Barbecue Guru, creators of automatic pit temperature control technology, sellers of ceramic cookers with built-in power draft fans and accessories to make your barbecue and grilling life easier. Visit bbqguru.com for more information or call them 800-288-GURU. The Barbecue Guru continues to be a breakthrough in barbecue technology. As I had mentioned, this is typically where you find the pitmaster of Killer Hogs and the co-creator of How to Barbecue Right, but because of a football game obligation, we will fill him with none other than the pitmaster of Swine Life BBQ. You can find him over at swinelifebbq.com, also on the YouTubes. We race to the hotline and welcome back friend of the show, Mark Williams. Hey, Mark.
How's it going, man?
I am absolutely fabulous, and I appreciate your pliability for guesting this evening as Malcolm is off taking in a football game. Perhaps, I didn't even know they were still playing football. Is Michael, I mean, he's not in high school or anything, is he?
No, they play all the time, man. He stays busy.
Wow. All right. So he is watching football, and Mark is available. SwineLifeBBQ.com, his website. Of course, you can find him over on YouTube, where he's got a budding YouTube channel of 43,000 subscribers right now, so only 44,000 more subscribers than me. But, man, we're really giving it a go, and I'm not going to talk about why I hate YouTube. So we have a huge holiday coming up in a couple weeks, Mark, obviously Thanksgiving. And the lead question is this, and I had started asking this maybe a week or two ago as we were just starting to talk about turkey stuff. I eat a lot of turkey on Thanksgiving. I eat a lot of turkey the next day. That might stretch out a couple days after that. Maybe turkey hash, maybe turkey grilled cheese, or turkey whatever the hell. And then I won't see it again till next Thursday, or if I stop by a great barbecue joint that has really great barbecue turkey. And outside of the barbecue restaurant, I fall victim to eating turkey maybe once or twice a year if I think about it. And it's usually my wife saying, hey, get a turkey breast and we'll put it on the smoker because we love smoked turkey. But I don't find myself eating it. And every year I say, damn it, this year I'm going to be eating turkey on the regular, but it doesn't happen. So do you fall into the same victimization there unknowingly?
I'm guilty of it, man. I think that's what makes it so special. It makes it that much better when it comes to Thanksgiving. I mean, if you ate it every couple of weeks, probably wouldn't be as good, but I fall victim to it for sure.
Let's talk about how Mark Williams does Thanksgiving at his house. Are you a traditional type of guy, or will you perhaps cater to any and all wants and needs? Is it a big blowout up in the first place?
So usually I cook for my wife's family. Usually standard turkey breast. Her mother does not like dark meat when it comes to turkey, so usually it's just whole turkey breast, skin on. And of course, I cook a turkey for my family as well, and it's usually whole turkey, probably spatchcocked, citrus, herbs. Try to get some flavors in it. But here recently, I cooked one last week for a video and pulled the skin off the whole turkey and done a bark just like you would on barbecue ribs. And it was delicious. Like,
how did you season it up?
I was shocked. What's that again?
How did you season it up?
Just done a little bit of Mississippi grind. We injected it with a little bit of butter and hot sauce. Pulled all the skin off. Let what little bit of butter run off as kind of like a binder for the rub. Simple. Treated it just kind of like you would a rib. And after about an hour and a half, when it got good color, covered it up, put some more butter on it. Again, treated it like a rib and let it cook in that foil. Glazed it at the end, and it was one of the best turkey breasts I've ever had.
Wow, that's a revelation, because I think one of the cook's spoils of turkey is maybe not so much on the smoked turkey, because you're not getting it to that higher temperature unless you're doing some kind of high heat finish at the end, is through, if you're cooking at 375 or 400, or maybe you're doing it in the oven, the skin will inherently crisp up. And then if you're a really keen chef or cook, you take the knife, you cut off all the skin, you save it for yourself. Maybe you salt it over the kitchen sink like a turkey potato chip or something like that. But I've never heard of anybody just ripping the skin off of it. I'm sure some people would think that would be sacrilege to some degree, but it sounds like it's a winner.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we got a little bit of hate on YouTube. They were like, I can't believe that's the best part. I mean, granted, on a fried turkey it is. But a lot of times, I mean, that's the struggle of cooking a turkey, is getting that skin as good as the rest of that bird is. And, my mother-in-law hates the turkey skin, and she just kind of brought it up one day. She was like, what if you cook one without the skin on? And I was like, hey, we'll try it. I'm not scared. And, it worked out. It had a bark just like any other barbecue. Like in the pictures and looking at it in person, you'd never know the skin wasn't on it. It sliced well. The breast was packed full of moisture. The dark meat might have been a touch drier, but I just didn't inject as much in those. And I mean, I'm honest. I'm not a huge fan of dark meat on turkey. It's not near as good as dark meat on chicken to me, but everything else was spot on. It was excellent. I'm probably going to do it again.
When you are purchasing your chicken, turkey, are you a frozen turkey guy? And then on top of that, are you also somebody that goes out of their way to make sure that it is a non-enhanced bird to start with? And then will you brine at any point, or have you ever brined? It sounds like you're more of an injector at this point, but what are your thoughts on procuring the bird and what you're looking for?
So this year, I'll take any bird I can get. Malcom just released his video, and I think he paid like $75 for that turkey.
What?
Which is outrageous. And I mean, it was a big bird, but it wasn't near about that big. And they're hard to get around here. Like I just recently picked up a few at Kroger, and of course they were all froze, and I have no problem. I mean, I'll take my time, thaw it, give it 4 or 5 days. If I have time, I love to brine it and then just inject with a simple butter, nothing else. But I mean, it's hard to find a natural bird. I got lucky on this one, and it was a butterball, claimed to be all natural, but who knows? But I mean, they all cook the same. I would just be careful with the salt content in your brine, especially if you know it's an enhanced bird. Just back off on the salt, keep the water and sugar the same way, and, still inject it with butter. Get that good kind of savory note in that meat.
The last couple of years I was turned on to, although I haven't purchased and then eaten one, the heritage breed turkey. Have you partaken in any of that? And do you find there to be a noticeable difference?
One. So the heritage breed we get, I'm trying to think what brand it is. I think it's Heritage Farm. I think. you're gonna make me think on that, but I've cooked a couple. I've cooked one that was a farm raised, like literally was slaughtered that week, and it was delicious. And it didn't have a wild taste at all. I mean, it was still a grain-fed bird, but it was definitely a different texture. The legs were a lot more tender than I've seen as far as like going to the store get, but the breasts were more proportionate to the bird. It wasn't the Las Vegas style turkey breast. It was kind of your standard normal run of the mill turkey breast. So, but it was excellent though.
When you're cooking, what is your target temperatures? And is it always usually a spatchcock bird, or will you cook whole?
I prefer a spatchcock just because I think you can get a little bit more flavor on it. It cooks a lot more even. I've cooked them either way. I'm gonna pull off a lot sooner than most. I'm not scared to pull it at the breast at 157, 158, and let it carry over. As much as we joke about, me and Malcolm going back and forth about the sous vide and stuff, I learned more about cooking poultry with that sous vide than I ever have. And once you learn the pasteurization temperatures, that bird's done in the breast at I usually time it 5 minutes after 150. And it's done, it's safe to eat and everything like that. And that's, pulling off at that 160, no higher than 160, it is delicious. I mean, it is packed full of moisture. There's really no chance for it to dry out.
So you're referencing something that for anybody that's new, it might sound a little kooky, but the high level thing to remember is this. The temperature that the FDA is giving you, the 165, for instance, is the immediate elimination of the nasties. That's the temperature at which they're all gone. However, you can take it off at a lower temperature, and if you can hold the meat at that temperature for whatever time the FDA guideline is for said temperature, it just takes a little longer to get to that pasteurization point where 165 is immediate, 155 might be, 2 minutes. I'm just throwing stuff out. Go to the website and find it out. I'm just throwing it out there for sake of conversation here with Mark. But 155 might be a 4-minute hold or a 5-minute hold to get to that same safe area. However, I think what Mark is trying to say is I am long-winded. It's a different mouth experience. It's a different moisture experience when you can pasteurize and make the meat safe at that lower temperature. Not too low because it can get a little weird in the mouth. I've had chicken and turkey finished at like 140, 145 just to test it out, and it gets a little weird.
It's different.
It's safe. It's different, no doubt about it. So I agree with you. I think you're spot on with that.
So what I've noticed too with them lower temperatures, this kind of off subject, that is the best chicken salad you'll ever have. It's like that 145 chicken breast. It is delicious in a chicken salad. But again, it's not about the instant 165, it's how long it's at that temp. And usually my train of thought on that is, all right, I see 150 on the thermometer. Time I go in, get a pan, get everything ready, it's creeped up to 155. It's done. It's safe to eat. But again, if you like taking on 165, don't change that. Keep cooking for it, like you've been doing. So, but it's definitely room to improve, and there's a lot of information out there on that.
Second only to the turkey, Thanksgiving is obviously the side. So what are some of the go-to Williams family sides that you guys enjoy?
So one of my favorites, I love a good dressing, but I like liver and dressing or wild duck and dressing. That's two of my favorites. It doesn't taste like you think it would. It doesn't really have a liver taste. It's just a real rich dressing, and it is delicious. After that, I'm on the dessert table. I'm with the sweet potato pie, the pumpkin pie. Hopefully, I can sneak a cheesecake in there somewhere. But usually, turkey and dressing. I'm moving on to desserts.
Is there a difference between dressing and stuffing? I mean, obviously, you could say stuffing goes into the bird, but outside of that, is that the only difference?
My biggest thing is like a lot of times the stuffing's a little drier, if you ask me. A dressing's a little bit got a lot more moisture in it, a little bit thinner, I guess you'd say, not quite as thick. My mom was known for her dressing, and her dressing's pretty thin, but it is delicious. But yeah, I think it's got a little bit more sage in it. You know, a lot of times the stuffings that I've had, and I'm sure they wasn't true stuffings, but they were real herby. You know, they had a lot of rosemary and thyme and stuff like that. They were still great, but I like a good old school dressing.
Sausage too, or no?
I've never had a full on like pork sausage dressing. I've had it on the side where somebody made like a sausage dressing gravy. They turn around, rendered the sausage fat, and then sauteed all their trimmings from their turkey and the skin and the neck, and made their gravy out of that, and it was delicious too. I mean, it was a good flavor.
Sounds like it's going to be a great Thanksgiving over at Mark Williams' place. So we wish you and your family a great Thanksgiving when you get to it. Outside of that, and I appreciate your thoughts on Thanksgiving, let's talk a little competition barbecue. I think perhaps while a lot of folks know you as the guy on YouTube and have really great recipes and to me, inspire folks to get out and try. You're not doing anything too chefy or too outside crazy where you need these kind of certain tools or those kind of certain tools. You're just making stuff for the everyman, and you're inspiring folks to get out there, cook in the backyard through the use of live fire, which I appreciate. But you're also a really prolific competition cook. I guess I didn't even realize how good you were until I keep listening to Malcolm's podcast every week, and he's, oh, Mark went out and won again. Mark went out and won again. He went up here and did this special contest, and he went out here and he kicked my ass again. And I'm like, I started doing a little research, and yeah, Mark Williams is a pretty kick-ass competition cook. So how does 2021 look this year for a competition? And then what are you planning for next year?
So, I mean, we took a few years off. Of course, a lot of it was just kind of for us to regroup. And, you know, we realized when we started the YouTube that, you know, we're catering to the backyard guy. We're catering to the weekend warrior. And, you know, that's really what we wanted to focus on. So we didn't cook a lot in 19 or 20 for that. And, of course, COVID. This year, you know, we kind of got the itch again. So I've always wanted to cook Galax, Virginia. And after Memphis and May and all those practices, I was like, we're going. You know, I told Malcolm, I said, we're going. You can go with us if you want. He's like, man, that sounds great. So that was probably our first KCBS we've done in a little over a year, or maybe, heck, almost 2 years, I guess. But, you know, one up there had a great cook, and it really kind of kicked off and started the fire again, I guess you'd say. And we've cooked 3 KCBS this year, and we've cooked a ton of just bragging rights. Hey, let's get 10 or 15 people together and just have a good time, kind of like we've done in Indiana. And I love it. And, you know, I'm pretty competitive, not as much as I used to be because, you know, KCBS and just competition barbecue in general is crazy competitive. I mean, there's a ton of great cooks. And used to, you know, 10 years ago or when I started cooking back in 2013, you'd show up to a contest and there'd be 4 or 5 there that, you know, are really good cooks that have a good potential to win it. Now on a 30-team contest, 30 teams can win it. You know, it's so much information out there and so much education now that everybody's on an equal playing field. And of course you have your ones that are really not on the equal playing field that are leaps and bounds better than all of us and that are going out winning them world championships like it ain't nothing. And, you know, that's a dream to look forward to. And I enjoy it. It's a good time.
I think I have one of those guys closing the show tonight, that being Brad Leininger from Getting Basted, the Jack Daniels grand champ, no doubt. And it seems like every time he enters the contest, he's either winning it or he's coming in second. So he's quite a force to be reckoned with here over the last handful of years. He's won Team of the Year 2 out of the last 3 years. And I think if all the cards fall right here over the next handful of weeks, it'll be 3 out of the last 4 years. So he's quite a force at this point.
Awesome.
All right. Do you take into account how things have changed, though, over the last 2 or 3 years, especially in competition barbecue, as far as the cost and what the perception of what you need to win is? Or are you pretty comfortable in your skills? A, you know what you need to win, and B, you can have the plan to implement to give yourself the best shot at winning weekend in, weekend out?
So since I thought we really overthought it. Looking back, I know we did. And now we kind of simplified a lot of things. We really simplified these recipes. And now that we're cooking on the stick burner a little bit hotter and faster, that makes you really hit your marks. And I've learned now that, texture wins a contest every weekend. Flavor's so subjective. I mean, I'm sure these guys that are winning every weekend have a great flavor, but they're nailing that texture. And that's what we really focused on this year, is just really pinpointing that texture and seeing how far we could push a protein and it still be that perfect texture. And we've learned a ton doing that. That's what I say. I mean, our flavors are pretty middle of the road. We may add a little bit more spice than we probably need to, but I like that heat. But we've really, really focused on texture. And I think our texture this past few cooks have been leaps and bounds better than we've ever cooked before.
Mark Williams from Swine Life BBQ joining me here on the show. SwineLifeBBQ.com is website. Part of that competition stuff has been the steak. Perhaps steak has been more popular than barbecue over the last 2 to 3 years. It's really grown in popularity over the last 16 months or so, no doubt about it. KCBS is now entering into the competition steak ballyhoo. So we know SCA. You've taken part in SCA contests. I'm sure you have a process down with that. Have you looked into the KCBS stuff at all as far as rules or what they're offering? And if you have, your thoughts on how it compares and contrasts to what's already existing out there?
I read up on it a good bit. Me and Malcolm kind of sat down and talked about it a couple of weeks ago. It's definitely a change. The whole having to buy certain meat and, bringing your own steaks, that's definitely different than what we're used to. My biggest thing is, why score down for grill mark? That's, if you think your best steaks got grill marks on it, cook your best steak. I don't see the point in that. I understand you're trying to be different from SCA, but if you want to get people involved, let them cook it however they want to cook it. If that's the best steak they can cook, let them turn that steak in. Don't score down for something just because, it's not what somebody says or anything like that. Let everybody cook however they'd like to cook it.
We went through the rules pretty in depth last week with the embedded correspondence, and I think a few of the rules that stuck out as odd. Certainly that one, I totally agree. You shouldn't be scoring down for grill marks. Maybe you can say you would prefer not to see them, but certainly you wouldn't want to score down. You'd turn in your best steak and then let it carry the day. The other thing that I was a little concerned about was having to buy from certain purveyors. Why not just put a grade stipulation on the meat and then put a spec on the meat? It's obviously being inspected. So as long as it meets the grade, then you should be able to bring whatever you want. So I said I thought there was probably some type of a kickback or a benefit to KCBS for making mandatory meat providers. Was there anything else that you saw that turned you off, or outside of that, were you pretty okay?
I don't understand the plastic wrap. I mean, I've cooked a bunch of steaks and had a bunch of good ones, and I've never had one brought out to me that in a restaurant or one that I've cooked, hey man, pull that plastic wrap off before you eat it,
Mark Williams joining us here on the show. Swine Life BBQ and SwineLifeBBQ.com is website. Where are you going to be at next?
I guess right now we're kind of slowing down for the next few weeks. Of course, I'll help Malcolm with a private event with the Palmer Home fundraiser deal with his gift to everybody that raised all the money. So I'll definitely be helping with that. And we're thinking about cooking one in December, and we're thinking about heading maybe somewhere down to Alabama and just cooking one more just to do it, just to have a good time.
Talking turkey, talking competition barbecue and steak competitions. It's Mark Williams from Swine Life. Once again, SwineLifeBBQ.com, or look for him over on YouTube and be part of the 43,000 that are currently enjoying the videos. Mark, appreciate the fill-in tonight. Always appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Greg. Have
you got it.
One.
There he is, Mark Williams right there from Swine Life. I agree. Some of that stuff from KCBS seems a little odd. Seems a little, we want to throw it in the face of SCA. So we'll see. Let's let them get a few off. We'll get some of the feedback, and then we will go from there. Robert Moss in the green room. We'll get to him here in just a second. I'll talk to you quickly about Primo Grills. What do we love about ceramic cookers? We love that they are fuel efficient. We love that you can achieve low and slow temperatures for traditional barbecue meats. We love that you can get rip-roaring hot temperatures for the grilling of steaks and other thin cuts of meat. But what's missing in the everyday lineup of ceramic cookers? The ability to do true two-zone cooking. Two-zone cooking, very important to both professionals and backyard cooks. The best way to manage a fire with confidence. However, getting a two-zone fire in a round ceramic cooker, not very realistic. Why? Because it's in a round cooker. Enter Primo Grills in the game-changing oval design. The oval design gives you the ability to execute the two-zone setup that you desire. It also gives you the other ceramic grill benefits as well. Really, when you break it down, there's like 60 different ways to configure the Primo, so you're only limited by your culinary imagination. As far as what's new this year, we know all about the lift hinge. We know about the air dampers. The Primo Grill rotisserie accessory has been out for months and doing so well. And we're just waiting on the ships to come in for that pizza accessory. And once that's in, what won't you be able to cook on this cooker? Here's the bottom line. Best ceramics in the biz. Yes. Patented technology, of course. True two-zone cooking capabilities in multiple sizes. Yes. And if you just have to have a round one, they have one of those as well. But consider the oval, for Pete's sake. Be a trendsetter in the neighborhood. Don't fall for everybody. Get this, get that. Get a round one. I have a chair. I have a chair.
I have a chair. I have a chair.
Get the oval. PrimoGrill.com is the website. Check them out on Facebook and Instagram as well. I'm ready for a Primo. I know you are. PrimoGrill.com, and find a dealer near you. We're back with Robert Moss right after this. Stick around.
Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And this portion being brought to you by cookinpellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all of your pellet-driven cookers. Visit cookinpellets.com for more information or to purchase. You can also find them on Amazon.com as well. But go to cookinpellets.com. Why not? See all the other products they got. It's great. My next guest, the contributing barbecue editor to Southern Living Magazine, friend of the show. Let's go ahead and race to the hotline and welcome back Dr. Robert Moss. Hey, Robert, how are you?
Hey, Greg, doing good. How are you?
I am fabulous and always looking forward to our live fire conversations here as you join the Barbecue Central show. So before we get into perhaps what would take the balance of the segment, that being the Texas Monthly's Top 50 barbecue release now 2 weeks ago, yesterday on Monday, let's talk a little bit about this Holy Smokes Low Country Barbecue Festival. As I had mentioned in the open, I think a lot of folks perhaps would see this as a Texas Monthly Barbecue Festival, but being done in South Carolina, you're having huge names, huge barbecue eats. Sounds like it's going to be a shindig.
Yeah, it's going to be something. I was actually out at the Bend this morning with the gang who's helped organizing it. We were doing our walkthrough of the event space, and so just the location itself is fantastic. This giant grassy area overlooking the Ashley River in the Low Country with the marsh and everything behind us. So the setting's going to be great. And then we've got about 24 pitmasters coming from all over the country. So everywhere from California to I think Connecticut and parts in between. Quite a lot of Texas folks. We'll talk about Texas barbecue in a little bit. So it's really bringing together, just a really top-notch group of pitmasters to Charleston to have a big afternoon of barbecue. That's all on the 13th, which is the upcoming, not this Saturday, but the Saturday after next.
All right, so we got 11 days out, or more like 10 days, I guess, tomorrow, since it's going to be a business day. Is there anything available from a spectator/attendee standpoint?
Yeah, I checked this morning. We had 73 tickets remaining, general admission tickets. The VIPs sold out a long time ago, but there are 73 slots, and it's probably a lot less than that than now we're selling them. So they'll probably all be gone by this weekend. So if people are interested in checking it out, don't wait, because they will be gone certainly before the event itself.
What's the experience like if I get a ticket, general or not VIP, obviously, but what can I anticipate showing up?
Yeah, well, a ticket will get you admission and all you can eat on the barbecue front. And the way we have it structured is every event's a little bit different. A lot of them, everybody just sort of sets up a table and you walk around. We're actually doing this a little bit differently to try to give people a little bit more of a curated experience. We have 3 villages. And so the pitmasters will actually be teaming up and working together in the villages. So you'll get a little bit of their style, but you can get it all on a single plate without having to go to 24 different stations. We've got a traditional village, which is to highlight the traditional whole hog barbecue tradition from here in the Carolinas. So if you think, Rodney Scott will be cooking there, Sam Jones from Skylight Inn, Pat Martin from Martin's Barbecue. And then we'll have a Texas village where we'll have a lot of Texas pitmasters, but not everybody from Texas. It'll be Texas style. So a lot of these guys are cooking brisket and ribs and things, but they're all over the country. So they'll be sort of like, talking about the Texas Monthly, you'll have that sort of Texas Trinity and probably a few other surprises that they throw in there. And then the really interesting wild card is going to be the New School Village. And everyone's doing so many interesting things these days. It's for 21st century barbecue fusions. And so there, the guys will be, really getting creative. And I don't even know what they're all doing yet. Everybody's going to bring something a little bit different, but there'll be some unusual meats, some unusual preparations, a lot of probably fusions like Latin American and Asian flavors and things like that. So really quite an experience. And then as an attendee, a ticket, you'll get to eat as much as you want from those villages. If you're general admission, you can buy beer and wine and spirits for additional cost. We'll have bands all day, so there's music and entertainment, everything else. VIP tickets, which are all gone, is all inclusive and some other special things. But for general admission, it's a full afternoon of barbecue with like really an unparalleled lineup of pitmasters.
You had mentioned Rodney Scott and Sam Jones. Are there any other? You mentioned Pat Martin, who's been a longtime friend of the show as well. Is there any other pitmasters that you would be able to mention that are just names everybody knows across the country?
Certainly. I think most of them are names. So we've got Chris Lilly coming from Big Bob Gibson from Alabama. We've got the Fox brothers coming up from Atlanta. I'll just go through the list. We got Leo Botello coming from Truth Barbecue, made it onto the top 10 list for TM Monthly. As is Evan Leroy from Leroy and Lewis coming from Texas as well. Quite trying to think of who else. All the Charleston guys will be there. So if you know a barbecue cook in Charleston, they'll all be out there. They're cooking as well. Got Elliot Moss from Buxton Hall in Asheville. No relation to me, but a great North Carolina barbecue cook is coming down too. So Patrick Feges is coming in from Texas. So quite a lineup.
Wow. No doubt about it. So if you are interested, get your ticket soon because they will be gone here very shortly. And we're talking with Robert Moss. One of the other things I wanted to ask you about is the new publication that you have. It might be out just over a month that really focuses on Carolina food. Southeastern Dispatch is that the publication?
That's correct. It's called the Southeastern Dispatch, and so Southeastern and Dispatch. You can also go to robertfmoss.com. There are links for it all over the place. But that's a new Carolinas focused food and beverage publication I just launched a little over a month ago. And though I do write and contribute for it, the real goal is to get together like really some of the best people writing about food in the Carolinas. So it's me and a whole lot of other people writing for it. We're covering food features. We're doing restaurant reviews. Not a lot of people doing restaurant reviews these days. We're really trying to fill in a lot of the gaps in the coverage. I am writing about barbecue for it, about barbecue in North and South Carolina, but it's not just barbecue. It's barbecue and everything else. In fact, I was just finishing today a feature on tasting menus. So we're looking at fine dining, we're looking at barbecue, we're looking at just the thing on burgers, and we cover the full dining spectrum and a lot of whiskey and cocktails and beer as well.
So if you're into watch or reading about food, especially down in the Carolinas, this is more of a Carolina-focused publication. Check it out. You said links over on your website, robertfmoss.com.
Yeah, robertfmoss.com, and it's southeasterndispatch.com is the URL for the site itself.
As I had mentioned in the open a couple weeks ago, the Texas Monthly Top 50 is released. So they rank out the top 10 and then 40 fall in, no particular order kind of a thing. But if you're on there, obviously it's a big deal. Top 10 is huge, but just to be in the top 50 is a big deal as well. So as somebody who covers this live fire industry as you do, and perhaps one of the foremost folks covering it, what's your thought on the list? And then do you have a specific thought on this list of 2021? So I guess just to clarify, your thoughts generally on the Texas Monthly list, and then this year's unveiling.
Yeah, well, I had a couple. So I'd actually do a top 50 list of my own for Southern Living. We didn't do it this summer for because the pandemic sort of held us up. So we may resume in doing that again next year. My list covers the entire South, not just Texas. So, but having put together this list, I sort of appreciate, I think, the work that goes into it, and also, how hard it is to just sort of define your criteria and say, okay, what's going to make the top 50. So, I did actually my newsletter, the Q sheet. I knew I was coming on the show. Actually, I can blame you for this because I knew I was coming on and talking to you about the Texas Monthly list. I was like, so what do I think about the Texas Monthly list? So I started jotting down some thoughts, and it turned into thousands of words that I trimmed a lot back. But so when I look at the Texas Monthly list, I think what's interesting is to sort of talk about how these lists work. I think, Daniel was on your show. Daniel Vaughn, the editor, was on the show a couple weeks ago talking about the methodology behind the list. And so he has a team of people to go scout and do scoring and things like that. Though I think he and Pat Sharp, who's their food editor, are sort of the ultimate arbiters of who get the top 10. But I think it's interesting, like sort of what do you prioritize? What's important to get on the list. I think anytime you're ranking restaurants, you can't give a restaurant a good ranking if the food sucks. That's just not going to work. Even if they have great atmosphere and things like that. So I think for everybody the food has to work. But the question becomes how high a priority do you get versus all the other intangibles within a restaurant. And so as I was looking at the list, that sort of I think one thing about Texas Monthly list, and this is neither a good or bad thing. It's just an aesthetic decision. I think they really focus on, first and foremost, on the meat that comes on the platter. The side dishes are nice, but I think they even say side dishes and specialties, those are sort of tiebreakers. The desserts and things, it's the sort of core proteins on the plate, and then everything else is just sort of gravy on the cake. If you've ever done barbecue competition judging, it's funny how the different competition. I just graded. I was a judge in a non-barbecue but a food competition recently where the food itself, the taste was something like 45% of the criteria. So you could really place quite well, even if you just, the food was mediocre. I think with Texas list, it's very much focused on the food itself. And I think that's sort of reflected in, I think, what you see on some of the results.
And that should be it, right? I mean, do you think 45% of a judging score for taste is too much? Should it be 55%? Should it be 60%?
I don't think it's too much, for sure. I think it's probably too little. I think you got to, again, that's sort of like the table stakes, right? If you don't have great food, you don't belong on the list.
Yeah.
It's more, how do you start to differentiate between two places where if you go in and you sit down, the food's great, I love it, And I think that's one of the challenges. Certainly when I do the Southern Living top 50, we're covering the entire South. So how do you compare a plate of Texas brisket and ribs with like mutton barbecue from Kentucky and like a chopped whole hog from North Carolina? I mean, these are different things. And so it's really hard to compare those. I think what you see with the Texas Monthly list is it's a little bit more of a coherent. The restaurants are a lot more similar in the offering. Almost everybody, I think of the top 10, only Leroy and Lewis in Austin, I think that's the only one that doesn't regularly serve the Texas Trinity of brisket, ribs, and sausage. He does beef cheeks regularly. He has a sausage, but it's more of a pork sausage. So he does something a little bit different. Most everybody else is serving a very similar offering. And then they all have specialties and sides and things that differentiate them. So I think that's sort of that comes out in sort of the nature of sort of the Texas barbecue scene today, I think, where that's sort of table stakes, right? You have to have really good brisket if you're one to play in Texas. Though you can certainly rank high on my list for Southern Living if you don't even have to serve brisket, and if it can be pretty bad as long as like the other things that you serve are really good.
So I think that's what makes the Texas list so unique. I can't have a Ohio barbecue list. Really, it would probably exist of 3, and they're probably here locally in Cleveland, or at least within an hour of downtown. But you have, so Texas is huge, just in land sweep, of course, and then it's its own barbecue mecca. One of the 4 that are currently existing out there. And then you have just an incredible amount of barbecue restaurants in Texas. So it certainly makes sense that you could have a top 50. There's plenty out there where you could whittle down to a top 50, whatever that criteria is. I would probably argue that between the last list and this list, there was a separator of who had the better brisket versus the other ones. However, with this list, I think what I understood from Daniel was, and I think he wrote a piece that was complimentary to the list, sort of, or supplementary, was that Texas brisket, he said plateaued, but I think what he meant was the level of the game has evened out. We've hit the crescendo here. Everybody makes really good effing brisket. And that now cannot be used as a delineator or a differentiator between who's got a really good barbecue restaurant and who does it. It's, these guys still do brisket a little bit better. Everybody's got a good brisket. So now it does have to be those side dishes or the Mexican influenced barbecue or something a little bit different, or the new school that I'm hearing about that is that's coming around too. So I think that's why, to me, the list is a bit unique.
Yeah, and I think what's really interesting about this list is the newness of it. I sort of took it when it came out because they put on the list the founding dates and how they cook and things like that. And what I think is really interesting is of the top 10, the oldest restaurant on there is Snow's, which I think was founded in 2003. So it's 18 years old. That's the oldest barbecue joint in the top 10. If you look at the top 50, there's only 4 restaurants on the list that were founded in the 20th century. Everything else is a 21st century restaurant. So everything is very, very new. And in my Q sheet reflections, I think what probably shows more than anything is sort of the influence of Aaron Franklin and that other sort of generation of craft barbecue guys who came along in the, a decade or a little more ago and just really focused on just technique, offset smokers, cooking time. Let's make that brisket absolutely as perfect as it can be. And that's the number one thing. And you're right. I don't think you can place very high if you serve brisket that sucks or brisket that's dry and doesn't work, doesn't play very well. But that's table stakes. It's almost like you have to serve a really good brisket and then do other things to get up in the list.
As I was reading through the Q sheet, I think I got a feeling that you were a little cheesed off that somebody in Texas might have said that there didn't seem to be as much of a generational following in barbecue in the Carolinas as there does seem to be in Texas. You proceed to point out, maybe he forgot about this, or maybe he didn't know this, or did we read a little too much into that, or do you think he was taking a shot at Carolina's ongoing barbecue expertise?
That's J.C. Reed from the Houston Chronicle, who writes a great weekly barbecue column. So I've got nothing bad to say against J.C. It was really a parenthetical, this little aside that he had, because he was saying, rightfully so, that all the new barbecue restaurants that are on that list in Texas really suggests that the future is very bright for Texas barbecue, which I think is true. I mean, there is no shortage of really good barbecue in Texas, and I don't think they're going to run out anytime soon because every week it seems like somebody else is opening a really great joint. But in passing, I think he sort of said that unlike other regions, and in arguably the Carolinas, there is other regions may not have that new generation coming along. And I just sort of said, I thought about it a little bit. I said, well, I just don't agree with that, because here in the Carolinas, you may not see it. We don't get the attention, the media attention that everybody in Texas does, but there's a lot happening here as well. There are a lot of new restaurants opening their doors, barbecue restaurants opening their doors, including quite a lot that have opened just since the pandemic, which is a tough time to open. So just as, I think 2 of the top 10 in Texas Monthly were founded in 2020 or later. I did a list for Southern Living of the best new barbecue joints. 3 of them were Carolina joints that were founded in the last 2 years. And there's just a lot of exciting stuff going on. Cities like Raleigh, the pandemic held it up, but at one point before the pandemic came in, there were like 12 or more like highly anticipated barbecue restaurants that were going to open their doors. At least 4 or 5 of them have actually opened already, and some more are coming in the works. So there's actually quite a lot going on here as well. It doesn't quite get the attention of Texas. We don't have a list that gets quite as much notice, but I think if people come to the Carolinas and drive around and eat barbecue, they're going to find a lot of young and very interesting, up and coming pit masters. And then I listed in that cue sheet thing a lot of the older restaurants that have been around for forever. And in each case, they're on the third or fourth generation, and the fourth generation may only be in high school, starting to be forced to work at the restaurant, but are sort of waiting in the wings. So I think that the Carolina barbecue tradition isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So I wasn't so much taking issue with what JC said, other than just sort of reflecting. I don't think that's quite right. I think the Carolinas have quite a lot going on.
Talking barbecue, as he always does, expertly, it is Robert Moss, robertfmoss.com, his website. Make sure that if you want to check out this Holy Smokes Low Country Barbecue Festival on the 13th, there are perhaps a small smattering of tickets, so jump on them immediately, if not sooner. And you can check out all those great pitmasters going to be on display here in about 10 days or so. In the meantime, you can check out Robert Moss over at robertfmoss.com, sign up for his cue sheet, and you can see him on the show every once in a while as well. Robert, always appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Greg. Great talking to you.
You too. There he is, Robert Moss, right there. Make sure that you get on those tickets. Don't wait. 65 or 70, and it's probably less than that. So hurry up. The Low Country Barbecue Festival, robertfmoss.com. That's the website. I'll talk to you quickly about Sterling Ball and Big Papa Smokers, the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue. A curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies will get you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. Everything at Big Papa Smokers has been pitmaster approved by Sterling Big Papa Ball himself, from the award-winning rubs and sauces to the American-made grills and smokers. Big Papa Smokers has everything you need to be a better outdoor cook. Known for the championship rubs and seasonings, right? Popular flavors like Sweet Money, Cattle Prod, Cash Cow, all proven winners on the competition circuit and in the backyard. 13 perfectly balanced flavors, transforming ordinary meals into extraordinary meals. And whether you're cooking to impress the judges or grilling for your family, Big Papa Smokers' award-winning rubs and seasonings don't disappoint. They also own Granny's Barbecue Sauce. If you're looking for a new go-to sauce that will please everybody, why not try Granny's? Find out why you fell in love with barbecue in the first place. And aside from the premium selection of rubs and sauces, they're also selling cookers. That's right. Are you looking for a versatile smoker that's easy to use? Check out that Mac 2-Star General pellet cooker. Big Papa's offering exclusive deals right there on the internet. The exclusive Mac dealer on the internet, by the way. Not a fan of pellet smokers? All right. Check out that Old Hickory Ace BP. It's the only charcoal smoker that Big Papa trusts on his competition trailer. If you're not sure of what grill you need, call them, 877-828-0727. That's 877-828-0727, or shop their website, bigpapasmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPA smokers.com. We are back to wrap the first hour right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show. Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
This portion brought to you by Fireboard. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring, or connect via Bluetooth. If you have Alexa or the Google Assistant in your home, you're in luck. Fireboard fully integrated with both. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. That's Fireboard 2, Fireboard 2 Drive, Fireboard 2 Pro. High heat. We love high heat. And we love Robert Moss for joining us. Is there anything better than getting a Carolinian's point of view on what Texas is doing with their top 50 list? The answer is no. Also, he's happy to talk about it, and he's not pulling any punches. Not that he was hypercritical of the list, but I do well, it's not that I took issue with him saying this. I just think that I took issue with him saying this. Okay. You had an issue, and you addressed it, and you did it well. RobertFMoss.com. Grab the tickets. We are pointing to the second hour. Plenty going on in that 60 minutes. I'll tell you all about it here shortly. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show right here on the Barbecue Central Network. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Stover, the barbecue hunk. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Have a hunky day.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle. Charbono! It's all about the Charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 2 feet or wiener.
But listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. It's the Barbecue Central Show, where we talk about the most important things going on in the barbecue and grilling industry. If it's happening, we're talking about it. If you want to talk about it, I'm happy to have you. 216-220-0966. Or an email, greg@thebbqcentralshow.com. Or hit me on Clubhouse right now. We can do this. You raise your hand, I bring you up on stage, you ask me a question, or give your take on a guest or burning topic. What could go wrong? Still to come in the show this evening, Sam the Cooking Guy in about 12 minutes, and Brad Leiniger from Getting Basted. Brad will be our first guest joining us through Clubhouse. So we'll see how that goes. Don't forget, you can follow me socially at BBQ Central Show on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, /BBQ Central Show on Facebook and Twitch for a live video feed. I think I got overzealous with the follows there. /RD Rempe on YouTube for a live video feed as well and a robust chat. We're also, as I had mentioned, live on Facebook. We greet the 514 studio. Hey now. Watching on Twitch, my first Twitch comment of this evening. So thank you for watching on any and all platforms. Also, I would like to mention, if you would prefer to get this show through podcast feed only, and you would rather not hear me do any ad reads, you can subscribe to an ad-free experience, both on Patreon at the patreon.com /BBQ Central Show page, or if you're an Apple Podcast user, you can subscribe to ad-free content right there within the show itself. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less this Friday, you will find episode 201, bringing you back to November 1st of 2011, 10 years ago. Folks, there have been some classic moments on the show. There are plenty of classic moments. I don't even remember, as much as I'm ashamed to say it. However, this is not one of those moments. In fact, this particular moment, which you will hear on Friday, is one that has stayed with me since the moment it happened 10 years ago. Have you ever heard me reference the certified Angus beef rant courtesy of Dave Bosca from Butcher Barbecue? If you've listened to the show for any length of time, this mention works into the classic parts and fabric of the show and history, and is usually at the top of the moments that are mentioned. This Friday, you will hear the segment from which this classic rant was born, and better yet, you get to hear the setup to it happening. This wasn't a topic that Dave Bosca wanted to come on the show. This wasn't preconceived, where he's like, lead me into this, and then I'll just go on. This was not something that was a put on. This was an organic and spontaneous rant. If you haven't heard it before, you're in for a treat. I can't believe it's taken 201 shows to get here. What's going on? But Friday, it happens again. For some, the very first time. For many others, a stroll down memory lane to hear a great moment from the show's long and storied past. By the way, what's going on with Dave Bosca? How are you, my friend? Hope everything is well. Hope the family's good. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving when it comes. We got to have you back on, Dave. See what's happening. But this is the rant. Don't forget, you have to be subscribed to the podcast feed in order to hear it. And don't forget, you can email in your own request if you would like to hear a particular segment or guest from months or years or decades past. Email John. He puts them together, Jon at thebbqcentralshow.com, and he'll do his best to meet your expectation. We do have a couple requests coming up as I was looking into the archive spreadsheet. So if you know you've put your request in, it's coming, probably within the next couple weeks or so. But this coming, man, is it going to be good. The CAB rant. It's so good from Dave Bosca. Email from a listener. Hey, Greg, listening to last Tuesday's show, and you misspoke when talking about Guy Fieri's money.
Get that big stuff out of here.
It's not $80 million per year. It's a 3-year contract. Crunching the numbers, Guy Fieri's $80 million 3-year contract with Food Network boils down to roughly $27 million in yearly compensation through 2024. Regards, Rick. Thanks, Rick. You know, just because Sam the cooking guy went out of his way 2 or 3 weeks ago to tell me that I misused a phrase, what was it, station in life, when I was referring to people being in the same type of circumstance that I was. I said station in life, which evidently means social standing, social status. And perhaps unknowingly, I used it in the very right way, as in, hey, only me and these really rich people can see Harry Styles and you can't. You're not in our station of life. But let's not make this a thing where you're keenly listening and ready to jump down my throat about something that I didn't say right or a phrase that I didn't use right. I'm as snarky as it comes to using correct English, using the right words, using the right phrases. But this is a live show. I'm talking off of my head most of the time and from time to time. And it is very infrequent. I might A, make up a word as we come to know, and B, I'll probably say something wrong, but it seems like it fits in my head. And if it makes you feel better to lob me an email like Rick did and say, no, it's not $80 million a year, it's 80 for 3, then you send me that email if that makes you feel good. I'll live with it. And who can live on $27 million a year? Guy needs a raise. He should be making $80 million a year. What did I do all last weekend? I watched diners, drive-ins, and dives all weekend. I've probably seen him 7 times. Sat right through him. Love him. Give that man $80 million a year so he can add another addition to Flavor Town. So we can add more acres to that village. Also, plenty of you emailed me on how Texas embedded correspondent Doug Scheiding didn't seem and or not able to grasp the difference between buying steaks from Creekstone and not from a butcher who carries Creekstone brand steaks in their local butcher shop as it relates to the KCBS National Grilling Competition. Right? I went back and listened to it. He did not seem to pick up exactly what I was putting down. or as the rules were written. So in case the majority of you were like Doug, who I guess have access to Creekstone meat at your local butcher, I don't. The rule for KCBS was this: you have to buy the meat, a strip steak of this size, weight, and thickness. And it has to be from either Creekstone or Double R Ranch, which is a Agri-Beef runoff. That's Agri-Beef owns also Snake River Farms, if you've ever heard of them. But it's got to be through one of them, and it's got to come in their commercial packaging. So as Doug was mentioning, he goes to his local butcher, and they wrap it up in butcher's wrap, which is how they would do it at the butcher. You show up to a contest like that, you're getting booted out. You can't cook that to turn in. It's got to be in the cryovac or the vacuum packaging so they can then, qualify it as the right meat from the right purveyor, do their inspection, give it the seal of approval, and away you go. You show up to that with butcher paper, you're screwed. Creekstone or not. So if you didn't understand it, jump on Doug's bandwagon, because I'm still a little unsure if he still doesn't know or if he now does know. He did seem offended. I was offended too. I don't like being told where to buy it. Meet the spec and that's it. But just in case some of you are on Doug's train of not understanding what that meant, that's exactly what it means. Also, many of you emailing going, how does he not understand what's going on here? He's a rocket scientist. There's a lot of complex things that Doug can understand that we won't. Just because he can't wrap his head around, go to this website and get it, doesn't mean that he's not smart. He's really smart. Smarter than 10 of us put together. He's a rocket scientist. He's a nuclear physicist. He's probably not a nuclear physicist, but why not? Before we get to Sam the Cooking Guy, I'll talk to you about Yukon Glory and the Grill and Serve set, an absolute revolution when it comes to the landscape of grilling baskets. I've always hated two things about grilling baskets. I have to wear some kind of heat-resistant glove to take the things off the cooker because they're hot. 2, it gets grease and oil all over my table or counter, wherever the hell I set it down to serve. Being someone who's known as a clean freak, that's not something I can really get down with. So what's a gal to do? Enter the great product from Yukon Grilly, called the Grill and Serve set. Yukon Grilly. The Grill and Serve set. It's a patented design. It fixes everything. The set includes 3 stainless steel grill baskets, which are moved by a clip-on handle that seamlessly grips the interior of the basket for easy lifting and dropping. The set also has a large custom-fitted stainless steel serving tray to catch drips and allow for a beautiful table presentation, but perhaps in my case, more importantly, gives you a clean table when everybody's done eating. Thank you, Yukon Grilly. What should you cook on them? Well, glad you asked. How about this? Veggies, seafood, wings, tacos, meats of all types. If you can think of it, you can use it to cook on. Where can you buy? Amazon, Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, Target. How about this? Go to UconGlory.com, and as you check out, save your ass 10% off of everything every time you go by using code 10Central. 10 Central altogether. Again, that will save you 10% on everything you buy every time you go to UconGlory.com. That's UconGlory.com. The Grill and Serve set. Get it for the holiday season. Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever the hell it is you celebrate. If you don't even celebrate anything, but you still do gifts, give somebody that. The Grill and Serve set from Yukon Grilly. Follow him on Facebook and Instagram as well. Yukon Glory. We're back with Sam the Cooking Guy right after this. Stick around.
You're listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And this portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet, currently available in 3 sizes and a host of accessories to complete that pit barrel cooking experience. Whether you are a beginner or you're a professional, definitely a cooker you want to add to the arsenal. Visit pitbarrelcooker.com and tell them the Barbecue Central Show sent you. Joining me now, somebody that blows it up all over YouTube with 3.11 million subscribers as of 9 o'clock this very morning. We race to the hotline and welcome back Barbecue Central Show guest Hall of Famer and second hour, first Tuesday of the month guest, Sam the Cooking Guy. Hey, Sam, how are you? Oh, boy. We got trouble. I knew it. I can't hear you. No, I can't hear you. I see the lights are green. It's no good. We have no joy in Mudville. Just disconnect and then reconnect in. Try that. Why not? Like close everything down and then come back in. There you go. I saw him freeze that time. You know, it's just not a show unless there's at least one technical issue that comes in. You know, why not? Why not? By the way, if you're just tuning in or you knew that we had Robert Moss on the show, I think we have you. Yeah, there you are.
You got me, yeah? You got me, yeah?
I got you now.
Okay, good.
Let me
try this. Hold on one sec.
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. If you were wondering or you're just tuning in, you heard Robert F. Moss on the show and you wanted... Somebody said something about tickets or why is his website linked. Go and buy the remaining general audience tickets, general admission tickets, I think that's what it's called. And you can be a part of a huge first-time event where you will have access to 24 of the most prolific pitmasters in the country today, like Chris Lilly and Rodney Scott and Pat Martin, and the list goes on and on. People from Texas, whoever they are. So there you go. We are joined right now by Sam, the Cooking Guy, and are you ready to go here, or what?
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, and I can't hear myself in here.
Well, yeah, because you don't have your headphones plugged into the bottom of the mic.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, but see, you know the problem.
First time on the show, everybody.
No, it's not.
Can you hear me now?
I was trying to do it with the earbuds, and somehow it wouldn't take. And I wanted to be cordless for you.
Yes. Well,
just let me start by saying,
okay.
Thank you for your apology for misspeaking last week.
Yes.
It's very impressive. You're a big man for coming on and telling everybody how terrible you felt that you misspoke.
I want to be. I want to be correct, and if unknowingly I was incorrect by the use of station in life, which I believe just a few minutes ago I might have actually unknowingly used it also correctly and incorrectly at the same time, where in my conscience,
that's amazing.
In my conscience,
you have a talent, my friend.
In my conscience, I was saying station in life, like we're all sharing this moment station in life, which is incorrect.
Yeah.
What I unconsciously also meant was, hey, you're not as rich as the rest of us. Our station in life allows us to see Harry Styles in concert. Motherfucker, yeah! Station in life! That's right. So I didn't realize that until we were talking it out here over the show.
I gotcha.
There you go.
I gotcha. It's all good.
All right, so you can see Sam the Cooking Guy in a number of different places, obviously on YouTube. TheCookingGuy.com is also a website, and shop.stcg.com for all products, of course. And the holidays are coming, so make sure you're stocking up on all of that stuff.
Not that we can get our products. They're on a boat somewhere sitting out in the harbor.
They have to be close to you?
No, they're close, but you know the problem that the ports are having.
Don't I?
Getting the you don't know?
Of course I do. Most of my truck parts are on those things.
Oh yeah, that's right, right. I mean, it's affecting. It's amazing. It affects everything.
Yeah, it's terrible.
So difficult. But let's not complain about that. Let's not complain about that.
Let's talk about Al Pastor, and then incorporate talk on that with the cooking vessel that you use, which has been a long-time sponsor of this show, called the Pit Barrel Cooker.
Pit Barrel Cooker. By the way, we'll be giving away one of those this holiday season of our holiday giveaway.
Look at you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I went through all the details with Amber. She's super nice.
Oh, she's the best.
We're in love with the Pit Barrel Cooker. I'm going to say that I'm going to go out on a limb here.
Breaking news? Breaking news?
No, I don't think
okay.
so.
All right.
Just a
in case.
comment.
All right. Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you. I believe the Pit Barrel Cooker is the best smoker for the money. Like, it's hard to beat that.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I think it's for the flagship model that you have. I call it the flagship model. It's sub $400. Yeah,
absolutely.
Sub $400.
Absolutely.
Set it and forget it. Great food. And by the way,
plug and play.
If you don't know the biggest selling point of this thing, especially if you're a rib eating family, you can hang 8 racks of ribs on this thing. 8 racks of ribs. I can't even get 8 racks of ribs on my biggest cooker otherwise.
Just let me say this for those of your listeners or viewers that have looked at it, have wondered about it, have thought if they should get it. And like me, they had this question. How is it possible to hang a rack of ribs in a cylinder like that with the heat source, the charcoal, the briquettes at the bottom, and the bottom 5 or 6 ribs don't burn the F up before the rest of the rack gets cooked perfectly? I don't know how they've done it, but they don't. The first rack of ribs I cooked on a Pit Barrel Cooker were the best rack of ribs I think I've ever cooked.
Wow.
I'm not making that up. I'm not saying that because they're giving us one to give away. I'm saying it because that is what I said. It's crazy how it works.
I'm a big fan.
Little footprint too.
Yes. Huge.
Little footprint too, which by the way, if there's someone in your life that does not want too much gear out in the back porch, this little fellow does not take up much room.
On the opposite side of that, there's a lot of us that suffer from MCS, multiple cooker syndrome, which hand in hand goes with if I bring another one home, my wife is going to divorce me or I'm going to have to get rid of one. Here's the perfect solution. If you don't have a Pit Barrel Cooker already, you can get it. It's really not that much money, and you could almost hide it behind every other cooker. So it's like your little secret.
Exactly. So we did, you mentioned the El Pastor. We did El Pastor in Mexico. Places here, San Diego for sure. I don't know if they're doing it in Cleveland. You can get El Pastor tacos and just imagine it's pork. It's like a big shawarma. They lay them flat and the whole thing turns and there's the rotisserie heat thing at the back and that outside edge gets charred and beautiful and you cut slices off and you put it in a taco. So, without the Pit Barrel Cooker, you're doing it in the oven, you're doing it on your grill, and maybe you're putting it in I don't know how you're doing it, but when we decided to do it, I got the perfect thing for it. So it was setting it up took a bit, cutting the pork and getting it marinated, and then I sort of had the jerry rig a little contraption for it, but it all worked, and the shit was crazy good.
Looked great.
Crazy good.
I've been a huge El Pastor fan. You can get really good El Pastor here.
Really delicious.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. It's very good. I like that.
I just like to give
carne.
you crap about not having. I like to give you crap about not having good food in Cleveland. But you've got Michael Simon, so his stuff's good, and I imagine your stuff is good. Though we've never met and I've never eaten your food.
What else do we have here in Cleveland? Say it.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
No. I'm talking about food. F the Hall of Fame.
Oh,
I've never even been there.
You've never been?
No.
It's not obligatory. Like, don't they take like 6th grade class tours through there?
Well, it wasn't. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame wasn't here when I was in 6th grade, number one. And number two, I can't tell you how many people have come back and reported to me that it was, So why would I go spend the money? I'm like, okay. Well, I don't think I want to go there for an experience. I can, go next door and talk with my elderly neighbor Dorothy for an experience.
Okay, but before we forget, go on to the other thing that you've got in Cleveland.
You know what it is.
Oh, that burger place?
No.
Choripoyo.
Choripoyo, that's right.
I can't remember the name of the place, but
yes, that's right. Coco Locos. You can't remember the name of the place.
Do you want to show them the picture? You can show them the picture. Do you have it handy?
No, I don't.
It's in the book.
We say nothing.
Okay.
Say nothing. Don't. You're going to ruin it for everybody.
I've said too much already.
That's right. So you do ribs on the pit barrel cooker. Have you used it for anything else that you've found it to be magical on?
I did a chicken on it.
Yeah, very good, right? Did you do lamb on it yet?
No.
Oh.
I will. I promise.
So in a couple weeks, we have Thanksgiving. We all love Thanksgiving. I was just talking with
my favorite food holiday.
Is it
yours? No question. What's yours? Quick. Don't say July 4th. It's a throwaway. It's a gimme.
I don't know.
Favorite food holiday. Come on. For anybody that can comment, I would like to know what. How do you not have a favorite food holiday?
I don't know. I guess I just like all. I just like all food holidays. I don't know if I discriminate.
See,
or I find one to be one better than the next.
I will put Thanksgiving above Hanukkah, and I really love Hanukkah.
Who doesn't?
It's a brisket and kugel, whatever, all the stuff we make. But Passover's pretty good. I will say Passover's good, but I think Thanksgiving is my favorite.
So I was talking with Mark Williams in the first hour, and I said, hey, for years I have said this coming year is going to be the year that I don't fall victim to eating turkey on Thanksgiving and then maybe for a couple days following it, but then magically it evaporates, and I don't even think about eating it again until the next Thanksgiving. And every year I've said, well, this got to change, because I do like turkey. You can do some stuff with it. You can put some flavor on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not overly exciting all by itself necessarily outside of the Thanksgiving Day and the pomp and circumstance, blah, blah, blah. But I like it. My wife likes it. It's really good on the smoker. It takes on smoke, but not in a terrible way, especially if you're using the right smoke. So I just never think about it in a way it goes until the following Thanksgiving, which again is happening this year. So do you fall to that same victim, or will you eat it regularly-ish?
I don't really know why, because I quite like it. I think it has to be brined for sure. We just shot this November video for Chosen Foods, right? The avocado oil that we're fans of, the sponsor of the show, that kind of stuff. They also make other avocado oil based products, including a line of mayos. So we're talking about, what would this? They're very cool. They go, what do you think you would like to do for a November video? And I go, well, what do you want me to feature? And they go, maybe the mayos would be good. And I said, all right. So I showed how to incorporate mayo into the 4 Thanksgiving traditional items. I took a turkey breast, which, by the way, I don't know if there's a stigma about them, but easy to cook, easy to handle, and there's no bones. It's just perfect. I bought a turkey breast. And I did it in the oven, having done nothing more than seasoning it with kosher salt and pepper and slathering it with this harissa mayo, this Mediterranean spiced mayo. And I'm telling you, it not was only gorgeous, but it was delicious. It was really good. And I forget how good turkey can be and easy when you think turkey breast. You doesn't have to be a whole all-day event. You can just do the turkey breast. You get the good part. It's all delicious. Everybody's happy. And we should be thinking about that more. But as I was doing the turkey breast, I also did mashed potatoes and gravy and stuffing, all of which had some of this a different chosen mayo mixed in with it.
Gravy?
It's just a fat. Sorry?
Gravy and
the gravy,
mayo?
Honestly, Greg, just got better. Think of it. It's the fat.
It's just an oil,
like taking,
right?
It's like taking, imagine taking gravy and just stirring in a couple tablespoons of butter. It's kind of like that, which I think when you think about it as being butter or mayo, maybe it doesn't sound all that great. but it's really delicious. It's really good. But so we had stuffing, we had gravy, we had mashed potatoes, I had turkey. And I had that next day a stuffing, turkey, mashed potato, gravy bowl for dinner. I could not have been happier. And when you think about that, we should be doing this more often, but where you get a turkey in August?
Just at the grocery store, I would imagine.
I guess. I don't know. I don't think there's very many of them. And I had to shoot something early one year for some Bed Bath & Beyond promo stuff I was doing, and I was hard pressed to find a turkey. And
are you running into shortages out there? Tim McKeska was on a couple weeks or last week and said,
I listened to turkey that. Yeah, it was after that I went out and I ordered mine. So I've not faced that yet, but I don't really know. I don't know. Have you found shortages?
Well, of course, I went immediately out on Wednesday, blew off work because I can't sell any trucks, and I found it was like a 14-pound, 13-pound turkey, whole frozen, butterball. And then because I bought that one, I got a 6-pound breast only for half price. It was the deal. But you could only get one. There was a big sign on the freezer door with limiting rationing out because of the impending shortage, blah, blah, blah. But I'm set to go.
Oh, so wet or dry brine?
Well, this particular bird, after it's thawed, will be already has a 30% injection
Salt
in
solution
it. Yeah, so I won't do anything with it. I'll rub it a little bit, and then I'll either cut the backbone out of it, and it'll go on the smoker, or the breast will, and then the other one will. It's going to be one way or the other. One's going to be in the oven. One's going to be in the smoke.
Yeah.
But both are already enhanced or injected or brined.
So mine will not be enhanced, and I will dry brine. And for anybody that's listening right now, I'm going to tell you, forget the wet brine. Just forget it. It's a huge pain in the ass. It is no better at all than a dry brine. And a dry brine is about 4,000 times easier. So just cut it out.
Do you just do you use a mixture, or is it just salt?
No, I like to throw. Look, this time of year, I can't really get enough sage. I love sage. Mm-hmm. Sage is fall in a flavor to me. So I'll use a tablespoon of kosher salt for every 4 or 5 pounds of turkey. I'll put some dry sage in it, maybe a little bit of thyme, a bunch of black pepper, and that will be my dry brine. Simple. I'll spatchcock, probably cooks faster, cooks better. I think it's a beautiful thing. And look, Norman Rockwell's been dead a long time. That perfect looking bird that famous picture is brought to the table. That doesn't happen anymore. Everybody's smiling at the Thanksgiving table. The guests at my Thanksgiving table are never always smiling. Somebody's arguing with someone. That's the reality. Uncle Joe is there and he's crazy and everybody knows he's crazy. He talks about the same BS every year and nobody wants to hear it, but
he's
you
maybe
have to
drunk.
have him because he's not maybe drunk. He's very drunk.
About ready to pass out into his whipped potatoes.
Yeah. So, but I love it. I love the leftovers. It's my
that's the best part.
Friend of mine calls Thanksgiving the Super Bowl of leftovers.
That's right. One year we were down at my parents' house and we had a bunch of leftover stuffing, a bunch of leftover mashed potatoes. And the next day, my mom and I rolled everything up into balls, breaded them, and deep fried everything. Deep fried stuffing balls, deep fried mashed potato balls. We were crazy.
How is that not a good thing?
So good.
Yeah,
the potatoes we probably should have had more in the freezer for a little longer because some of them did kind of droop out, but
start to they do
melty, melted, not melty, melted.
Yeah. The air fryer. Do you have an air fryer?
Yeah, of course.
What's happening? Oh, we're done. Are we done?
We got a minute.
We could be.
I
done.
do have an air fryer.
I'm just saying.
I have a Ninja
I'm saying
Foodie
those potato
something
balls.
or other.
What?
I have a Ninja Foodie thing. It's a pressure cooker. It's an air fryer. It's a slow cooker.
I'm saying I think air frying those mashed potato balls, air frying them is sometimes better than deep frying them. Yeah, and I like to take it like a little like a cube of stuffing and cram it in the middle. And there's cheese and whatever you want to put in there, and then you flour them and then egg them and then panko them. Air fryer, really good, really easy, simple.
I assume there's recipes and stuff over at thecookingguy.com for people to check out if they want ideas.
Yep. I'm working on the page now. It should be up in another few days. Links to everything, some old links, some new links, but everything's solid and works, and it'd be great. And it's funny, people don't know this, but before we talk here, you send some talking ideas, some ideas. Hey, why don't we talk about this and this and this? And in the one you sent, I think yesterday or today, you said, which probably will not get to any of them, and we didn't get to any of them.
That's not true. We did like 80% of it. We talked about the pit barrel and El Pastor. And we did turkey talk. We did pretty good. I mean, for us, we hit like the whole outline for us. So we're good. You can find Sam over at thecookingguy.com. You can find him on YouTube, where 3.11 million of you already have found him, enjoying videos Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And for your shopping needs, shop.stcg.com. Get it before it's too late. Or get it before anybody else gets it, and then it'll definitely be too late. And get ahead of the damn shipping curve as well.
Gosh,
Sam, I know you're going to stay tuned for my debut Clubhouse guest audio. He's in there right now. So
how's he sound? Have you checked him out yet?
Nope. The biggest hurdle. But the biggest hurdle has been cleared. He's in. He's ready to go.
What?
I didn't know if he was. I mean, you have to download the app. You have to find the room.
What if he sounds like shit?
He's not going to sound like shit. He's a world champion.
You have standards.
All right, hold on.
I don't know why you've
We're going to
lessened
test it.
them.
We're going to test it.
We'll
test it right now. Hold on.
Okay,
Brad,
let's go.
Brad, you there?
Yeah. Does this sound like shit? We're doing all right?
No, you sound great. Doesn't he sound good, Sam?
Sounds pretty good, actually. Yeah.
Sam, this is the 2021 Jack Daniels World Champion you're talking to right now, Brad Leiniger.
Hey, Brad, congratulations. And I don't want you to think that I don't like you. I was only questioning the use of whatever it's called. What's it called?
Technology on the fly.
Yeah. Brad, you're a pretty tech-savvy guy, right? You can navigate.
I got this down. I got it down. I had complete faith in the application here. So
yeah, why not? Good. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? So, all right, Brad, stand by. We'll get to you here in just 1 second.
The worst that could happen is he sounds like good shit.
Yeah, well, guess what? We averted that.
But it didn't. No, but I'm just saying that is the worst that could happen.
Of course.
And it would make you crazy, and we would talk about it tomorrow, and you would have pangs of anxiety and regret and remorse.
Be up all night. I'll be up all night.
It might even lower your station in life, so who knows?
We don't want that. No more Harry Styles
that.
concerts? How could that be? No. Sam, appreciate the time as always, my friend.
See, have a good talk.
All right, there he is. Sam, the cooking guy, and obviously Brad is in the green room, so stand by. Boy, what is going on here? Stand by. Here we go. I will talk to you quickly about Yoder Smokers, then we will get to Brad. Yoder Smokers designs and builds all of their products right here in the States, building pride through craftsmanship, world-class customer service. That's the backbone of how they've built the company. This approach translates into what can be a truly bespoke style product that elevates gatherings with friends and family. And they're honored to have a trusted place in the backyards of America, from pellet grills to wood-fired offsets and charcoal grills. Consistent blue ribbon flavor has become synonymous with the Yoder Smokers name. Make no mistake, Yoder Smokers flavor-driven design is unique through each style of pit, and their team has developed cookers to perform time and time again while outlasting the competition for generations to come. It's this generational thought that's rooted in the handmade products and defines the integrity of the core values: American-made quality, endless flavor. Those are the benchmarks of Yoder Smokers. You can grab yours today over at yodersmokers.com. You can also visit their dealers. Why not? But go to yodersmokers.com and then go from there. Brad Leiniger is ready to go. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show. celebrating over 10 years of prolific and unparalleled live fire barbecue and grilling talk. And yes, it's still being done from Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
And this portion being brought to you by Smithfield. Head on over to smithfield.com and get tips from world champ pitmasters like Chris Lilly, Darren Worth, Ernest Cervantes, Giles Cridland. Mouth-watering flavor, no artificial ingredients. Smithfield Fresh Pork, quite simply, some of the best pork money can buy. A trusted choice of world champ pitmasters for use at competitions and at home. By the way, if you're a committed cook and you are competing, go to smokingwithsmithfield.com to brag and enter your first place pork and rib finishes. Helping me close the show tonight is the pitmaster for one of the most successful teams on the KCBS circuit here over the past, it's got to be 10 years now, has a number of Team of the Year titles to his credit, restaurants, world championships on the shelf. A few weeks ago, he added a GC of the Jack Daniel's World Championship Barbecue Cook-Off to that list as well. Here to talk about it and some other live fire topics is none other than the pitmaster of Getting Basted, Brad Leininger. Hey, Brad.
Hey, Greg. How are you?
Good. Appreciate you jumping on here with me this evening as we close out the show. And this is kind of a rebook as well. We were going to do it a couple weeks ago. I forget exactly. Maybe I took the week off or some banana thing like that. But we're happy to have you on. So first, let's talk about what happened a couple weeks ago. And here's the conversation that I love to have with somebody who has never had 1 ounce of thought of competing in a barbecue competition in his life. That's me, obviously. I love having the conversations with the guys that win either the Jack or the American Royal, and hopefully they haven't won both. I know you were just shy on the American Royal side of things. You were a reserve 1 year, a couple years ago. But as you look at the win of the Jack and you look at the almost win at the American Royal, and let's assume, you had it, is it possible, or perhaps this is a better question to lead off, is it possible to look at one that you haven't won, but you're right there at reserve, and then win the other side of it and say, well, I think I can adequately compare and contrast these and say, all things considered, X means more to me for these reasons. Can you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing with the Jack is that you don't know when you're going to get back there, right? Like, you can always go to the Royal. So you're always, as long as they hold the Royal, you've got a chance to win the Royal. But the Jack, you've got to earn your way in. So to me, it's special to win that because just the lack of opportunities. When you get an opportunity to go down there and be able to win it, that really means a lot to me to take home that one.
Brad Leininger joining me here on the show. So you win it a couple weeks ago. If we can roll it back just a little bit, and this isn't obviously your first Jack, so how many has this made for you just going down?
That was my fourth Jack.
Fourth Jack, all right. So when you look at the first Jack and you fast forward here to the fourth, just from a logistics standpoint, and as you had mentioned, there's a really good chance you could get in 1 year, and then depending on how the cards fall out, even if you're having a tremendous season, you might not get that invite to go back for years, maybe not ever. For the teams that just show up, as you can perhaps recollect on, is there a fine line between trying to take it all in, but then also making sure that you are dialed in on what you need to do as a team to make sure that you're giving your chance to be to give yourself the best shot at pulling out a potential victory when it counts?
Yeah, no, I think there is. This year I really made a concerted effort. I took my little trailer down there. I did not bring my family. I didn't. My wife staying home. I treated it like a business trip, and that was my goal because I set out to win the Jack. The first time we went there, we had everybody went there. We did the whole thing. We were touring the distillery. We were out just having a good time, just taking in the experience. Whereas this time, I was there for business, and I think it showed up in my cook.
Brad, is there something like rustling around on your shirt or something?
It's possible. Let me hold my mic out a little bit here. See if that helps.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was it. Thank you.
Okay.
So you did this whole cook by yourself?
I did. Yeah. I had my business partner rode down there with me just for the ride, but I tried to leave all, do it like I do every weekend, and that was my goal the whole way through.
Are you a guy that cooks by themselves for the most part now?
I do for the most part. I probably do 75, 80% of the contest by myself. My brother-in-law rides with me sometimes. I think he came out with me maybe 4 or 5 times this year. But in general, I'm rolling solo.
Has that been the way you have rolled since the beginning, or is that something you have evolved into?
No, I mean, we've always had varying, I've had my kids with me. I've had my wife with me. I've had my sister and my brother-in-law with me. And I enjoy having them go. And just, we've been doing it for a long time, and they've managed to move on to other stuff in their life quicker than I have, if that makes any sense. So, everybody else has kind of quit on me is what I like to joke around about. So I'm out there still cooking and they're all doing something else.
Would you like to have, not to make it all about me, but people ask me all the time, would you like to have a producer or somebody that helps you put on the live production? And my quick answer is, well, for the last 15 years and since the inception of the show, it's only been me prepping and growing and technology and all this stuff. So it would be really hard for me to bring somebody in and then feel comfortable right off the bat that next show is going to be as seamless as it has been for the last 15 years. Same for you? Like, would you like to have somebody there consistently, or would that perhaps give you a hurdle that you would rather not have?
No, I'd rather not have it. I mean, it's harder to cook when I have people around. I've got my, I've got my routines and I've got my systems down. And when I have somebody there, it's more, you're entertaining them and you're more, it's not that you need help. And I have people ask me if they can help all the time. And you just hit the point where I've got it where I just don't need help, and I'm a control freak and I like going out and cooking the contest solo. Do I like to have somebody riding along with me for the, when I'm putting the miles on the road? Absolutely. That makes it a lot easier. But as far as the actual cook itself, I like to do things my way and that's the way it's going to stay.
As you get through turn-ins, obviously the Jack known for having the white meat portion that you typically don't have to deal with in a KCBS contest, but it's probably old hat to you at this point. Do you feel that through turn-ins you've given yourself the best shot at giving yourself a victory that weekend?
Oh yeah, and I've been cooking pretty solid, and I think one thing, Joe Pierce and I from Joe Pierce from Slaps have been point chasing and cooking pressure pack contests for probably the last 18 months. And so that really set us up to go in there and cook at a high level at that contest. And I was right next to Joe, and I know he had great food, and I had great food. I wasn't surprised to see us go 1-2. I thought either one of us could have won it. And, absolutely. I knew when I turned it in what I wanted to turn it, what I wanted to give to the judges. Then it's just a matter of finding the right tables.
Do you think Joe gets the respect he deserves on the competition side?
I think he's starting to. I think, he kind of did it backwards. He jumped in, from pitmasters first and kind of got his accolades from that on the TV side of things. And then he's really honed his craft. And I can tell you, I've been chasing points for, a long time. And Joe is as tough as anybody I've competed against. So if he hasn't, he deserves it because he has turned into a ferocious competitor. And I can tell you, I'd stack him up against anybody.
Brad Leininger joining me here on the show. Pitmaster getting basted, your 2021 Jack Daniels world champ. So as you are going through awards and you're getting through top 10 and it's just second place and then first place, when you hear getting basted called for grand champ, specifically for this one, what are those first emotions that kind of wash over you? Is it the stereotypical elation and screaming and yelling, or because it seemed to be a business trip from the outset, is it like, yeah, of course, I prepped, I closed, and this is what's supposed to happen?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's some elation there, but at that point, it's almost relief, right? I mean, you're sitting there walking through it, and you've got the calls, right? And I've got people after I got my brisket call, I had 3 top 5 calls, and after I had the brisket call, I got people coming up and congratulating me and stuff, and I'm just trying to shoo them away. I'm like, look, it's not over yet. Stay away from me. Don't jinx me. I'm just sitting there trying to, I had Johnny Trigg try to hug me on the way to the stage, for my brisket call, and I told him to sit down. I said, hey, Johnny, sit down. If I get another call, then I'll give you a big old hug then. But this thing's still not over. So, you're kind of sitting there and you think you've got the calls, but you never know at the Jack, right? You never know what that one thing you didn't hear your name in. It could have been a really low score. So you're just sitting there ticking through the numbers. And when it finally hits, I mean, honestly, the first first reaction was just a sense of relief. It's like, okay, we got this thing done. And then after that, the elation hit, and then, just kind of hits home that, yeah, man, you set out to one of your barbecue bucket list. One of the things you circle that you want to get done is win the jack, and that I just accomplished that. It took a few days to settle in, but it's certainly one of the best feelings I've ever had in barbecue.
Is this the biggest competition win to date then?
Oh man, I mean, we won pork shoulder at Memphis in May this year. King of the Smoker was a big one as well. But yes, certainly, it's hard to argue the Jack Daniels is on the short list, and just the visibility of it, and just the stock that everybody puts into it. I mean, I think I'd have to say, yeah, it probably is my biggest win.
Is the Jack at all? I'm saying this with peace and love. Peace and love. Is the Jack potentially overrated?
Well, I don't. It's just one of those deals that, not everybody's there. So maybe the field isn't as tough as some of the other majors, but I don't know that you can overrate something with the mystique and just the, just the name brand recognition of winning the Jack. I just don't think you can overrate it. Do I think that, sometimes it's a little too difficult for some of the good teams, maybe in the Midwest or, places that have a ton of contests, maybe some of those Texas teams or something. Do I think maybe a few more of those teams should be in there? Yeah, I probably do. But still, I mean, that's a world-class field. And to go out there and win one of those contests, it's hard to say it's overrated.
Brad, you are currently sitting first in KCBS Team of the Year points. You were the Team of the Year last year, of course, and that was a unique season, to say the least, as it kind of got started halfway through, and then it was a sprint, to say the least, to get through the end. And, of course, you outlast everybody to take Team of the Year in 2020. You are on pace for another one, backing it up in 2021. You were Team of the Year again in 2018. I mean, you have to be, if not the most prolific, one of the most prolific competition teams out there the last 5 years, easily. You could be winning it 3 out of the last 4 years if things go right here. Are you a lock for Team of the Year right now, or are you, Joe, still battling a little bit?
I am. I can officially say I'm a lock since it's KCBS changed their season. It ends October 31st.
Oh, all right. Well, here we are talking to the 2021 KCBS Team of the Year, Brad. So, I mean, 3 in 4 years is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't set out really last year to win it. 2018 and this year, I kind of made it a goal to set out and win it. And, this year I kind of wanted to win it because, to my knowledge, nobody's done it 3 times. So, I had the opportunity and wanted to go out and get it done 3 times. I doubt I do it again, but you just never know. So anyway, yeah, I'm really proud, and it's really satisfying. I don't think people that haven't done it can understand that just the mental and physical toll that it takes to go chase points in barbecue. I mean, you just can't have an off week. You're traveling from coast to coast. You've got to cook at a high level every week. You're trying to track down meat. You're trying to clean smokers. It's just a tremendous effort, and I'm extremely proud of those Team of the Years. I put them up with any of the majors I won, and to win it 3 times is truly blessed.
It's a tremendous amount of time and travel and everything that you just said. And for the folks that are listening that maybe are very peripherally introduced to competition barbecue, you don't have to give me straight up specifics if you don't want, but what is your expense in, and then what are you getting back out in winnings? Like, are you at least at a break even, or are you making money because of some of the bigger ones that you've won? And by the way, like, very few teams are technically in the black year over year just because of the nature of how competition barbecue works. But I mean, you are one of the few that are just doing 30 plus a year, 40 plus a year, or whatever. I mean, you're almost out there every weekend.
Right. And we do make money at it. We make a little bit more money. We're about $1,500 a contest is about what it costs us. And the Jack helped a ton, but I'll make a little bit more than that. And then we also teach classes. So our classes are really successful. We teach those all over. We've got some sponsorship and we've got some stuff. Now, the hourly pay would be a joke if you sat down and figured it out. But I do, quote unquote, make a living doing this. I have the restaurants and they supplement it and everything else. But, we were doing that before the restaurants opened. We were making enough money to, say we're one of the few people that do this professionally, and it's not an easy way to make a living for sure, but it is possible, and we do manage to stay profitable.
The other thing that you have been really invested in is the Barbecue League. I think initially when it rolled out, it was National Barbecue League, and now it's the Barbecue League. So for the folks that aren't familiar with that, what's it all about, and how does one get involved with that?
So the Barbecue League, is really came about to market barbecue, competition barbecue, backyard barbecue. It's just a way for us to kind of pull the curtain back on what we do. There's really just not a good way for the public and for other competitors or people that are interested in getting into competition barbecue to see what it's all about. So we set out, Tim Shear and I from Shake and Bake, set out to make this stuff a little more accessible. So, we have a subscription service. The point of that subscription is to fund content. I mean, we're not trying to make money off it. We're using it for marketing. But it's just $100 a year, and you get tell-all recipes. You get behind-the-scenes access at contests. You get to see things, ask questions, get to, basically, look behind at what everybody's doing in competition barbecue and get to see some championship recipes from Tim and myself. And we've got Joe Pierce on there, and we've got Bill Purvis and Fred Robles, and, we've got Blaine Hunter and several just top-of-the-line pitmasters that are out there giving up some of their secrets. And, competition classes are expensive, and we feel $100 a year is a bargain for what you get for it. And you can just head over to the barbecueleague.com, the bbqleague.com, and check it out. So I don't think, dollar for dollar, there's a better deal in competition barbecue.
You're obviously the top pitmaster out there on the KCBS side of things. From a competition food standpoint, you have a few other options. If you're a steak cook, SCA seems to be what the KCBS has been on the steak cooking side of things. Is that something that you've ever gotten into, the SCA events?
I've done a few SCAs. Yeah, normally I don't have a lot of time, but if there's one on Friday night, I'll cook it. I've got a few top fives. I've never won one, but I have been in the top five a handful of times, and I managed to get my famous thing is I get a ninth place call at just about every one of those I do. So at least I'm getting my name called, or my ticket number read anyway. So no, I enjoy state competitions and have a lot of respect for the guys out there doing that, guys and gals out there doing that.
If you started to taper out of competition barbecue, would you pick up steak cooking because it's a little less more of a load to travel and the cost to get in is a little less, and you have a pretty decent payout, $1,000 or $1,500 for a winning steak or whatever?
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out. I'd probably do a few steaks. I'm kind of hoping these single meat contests take off. That'd be a good way to, where you don't have to have the capital outlay, and the time outlay of a whole contest, but you can still go out and cook barbecue. So I'm hoping maybe a rib series or something like that kicks off, and that'd be something I could transition to. So, but yeah, I wouldn't rule out steak at all. I would certainly cook a few of them. Recently,
KCBS announced that it was rolling out, I believe it's called the National Steak Championship. So where they're not bolting on an SCA event, let's say on a Friday, and then you would have your KCBS event Saturday rolling into Sunday or whatever. They're going to have their own steak championships bolted on perhaps on a Friday, and perhaps there'll be some independent, outside of any barbecue events, just KCBS steak events. Any thoughts on them getting into that space? I had always thought that it would have been potentially better. Well, I mean, look, you go back to, I think when Randall was involved in KCBS, he had rolled out National Grilling Backyard or whatever the hell it was, and it never went anywhere, and nothing has evolved since now the release of this National Steak Championships. And I thought there was some kind of a match potentially between KCBS and SCA to team up on any number of these events and you could promote both sides, right? SCA could have a barbecue contest, or a barbecue contest could have an SCA event, and maybe some would leave depending on what they were more interested in, but you might get a bunch carry over on any event having it out there. But now they're doing it themselves. Did you have any thoughts on them rolling that out and how those rules look?
I think I wish them the best. I mean, I'm a KCBS cook. I wish them all the best. I think the biggest problem facing KCBS and SCA and IBCA and CBA and anything is we've got to get more people cooking. So if the KCBS steak contest gets more people cooking, then I consider it a success. But I'm kind of with you. It seems to me to be, maybe coming out and too little too late reinventing the wheel. I think they probably could have, spent their money on something a little more barbecue related, but hopefully I'm wrong, and the KCBS Steak Cook-Off is just another avenue for people to get competitions under the belt, and I think there's some cool things with it. I think the idea of another championship, the SCA does one down in Dallas. I think the idea of there being a championship in Kansas City and some more money thrown at cooks, I think that's a good thing, but I do think it's a little redundant, maybe not necessarily, probably could have been done a little bit differently, or they could have done something else differently. If I was involved, I probably would have steered them a different direction. But that being said, I hope it's successful, and wish everybody that wants to get into it the best. I probably won't be cooking any strip steaks, but that's just my decision. Is that PC enough answer for you?
You know me and PC. I'll take it or leave it. So if you're happy with that, I'm happy with that, and we can move on. So we're into November, obviously, and the theme of tonight and over the next couple of weeks will be Thanksgiving. Do you have any tips on turkeys, and what is your Leininger family tradition?
Well, I roast a turkey, in the oven. That's I'm not a big smoker just because I like the gravy. I could take or leave the turkey, but to me, to have the proper gravy, you've got to have the pan drippings, which means the turkey's got to be roasted in the oven. So that's how we do it. That being said, I am filming a turkey recipe on the Gateway Drum for the barbecue league we're going to put out. So I am going to be smoking one here in the next couple days, so I'm looking forward to that. But as far as our spread goes, it's pretty traditional. We're going to have the whole bird and the mashed potatoes and stuffing and the whole 9 yards. So that's just the way we've always done it, and I love cooking it. I mean, I got into cooking, other food long before barbecue. And Thanksgiving is just one of my absolute favorite meals to make. And, I sit there and spend all day cooking. I can hardly eat by the time it's done, but it's worth it just to watch everybody happy and eating your food.
Brad Leininger is the pitmaster of Getting Basted, your 2021 Jack Daniel's World Championship Barbecue Cook-Off Grand Champ. And as we just learned, he is your 2021 KCBS Team of the Year champ, announced right here on the show a few minutes ago. Brad, always appreciate the time. Congrats on all the success, and we will talk to you again soon.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Greg. Thanks for having me.
You got it. There he is, Brad Leininger right there. And it is a successful test of the clubhouse. Little microphone rub there, but I caught that. I figured that out. All on my own. And he was adept at pulling it away and sounded like a champ. Of course, he is a champ. Okay. Quickly, before we runneth over, I'll talk to you quickly about Vortic Watches, a small batch custom watch manufacturing and vintage restoration company located in northern Colorado. They take antique American pocket watches, just like this one. And look at the back. There are the guts right there. They take these and turn them into wrist watches. Their mission to preserve and enhance the legacy of manufacturing excellence in America. In order to do that, they combine traditional and cutting-edge technology to create unique quality, functional timepieces with exceptional value. And here's the coolest part. Each watch that Vortic makes is unique and one of a kind. Vortic, founded on the motto that America wasn't assembled, it was built. Check out VorticWatches.com for more info. Their military edition watches are going to be released soon, so go to VorticWatches.com and join the email list. There'll be a separate email list to announce when those watches are out. I think they're selling 15 this year. It's either 5 or 15, I think. And those watches, like if you're really into the bomber watches, those are ones that you're really going to want to check out. Great box, a lot of cool accessories, extra straps, blah, blah, blah. So check them out. And hopefully they're going to be starting on my custom watch here shortly, and I'll be able to show you that. They're going to take video, so we'll see the whole process. All right, we're coming to wrap the show. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back, and we are ready to wrap it up. Hopefully you enjoyed Brad's recap of the Grand Champ winning over at the Jack Daniels. Plus, do we call that an exclusive?
A
Barbecue Central Show exclusive news update.
I think we do. Brad just announced he's Team of the Year as of 2 days ago. All right, all the way back in the first hour, it was Mark Williams sitting in for Malcom Reed. Mark Williams, the pitmaster of Swine Life BBQ. Find him over on YouTube under Swine Life BBQ. 43,000 of you are following him along, watching those videos. And he's going to get more into competitions, as he said. Also, if you're going to be at the Palmer Home festivities here next week, I believe, he'll be taking part in that. After Mark, we had Robert Moss, robertfmoss.com. If you want tickets to his event, make sure that you go over and grab up the last general admission tickets. It's not going to be something you can wait on. If you want these tickets, you want to hang around these 24 pitmasters, sounds like you're going to have wide access. The food is going to be spectacular. Get after it. robertfmoss.com. Also sign up for that new publication that he has coming out, second hour, same The Cooking Guy, of course. TheCookingGuy.com, shop.stcg.com. Over on YouTube as well, 3.11 million of you watching for release of videos 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Friday. And closing out the show, the 2021 Jack Daniels World Champion, Brad Leininger from Getting Basted, also part of the Barbecue League. Go to thebbqleague.com and sign up for $100 a year. Get all that info that you just talked about a couple minutes ago. And it doesn't sound like he's going to be into the KCBS side of steak things. His choice. I'm withholding judgment until we have at least a couple on board. Big show planned for you next week. Of course, Meathead will be in, amongst others. So, how do I always leave? September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Until we reconvene next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.
Hi, this is Jeff Richards, Columbus, Ohio. You're listening to Barbecue Central.